Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to a Couple More Minutes podcast, where two veterans of the animation and video game industry talk about exactly that, animation video games. I'm Jeff Gabor, I'm one of your hosts, and alongside me, as always, is...
Pete Paquette.
There we are. We're here. And we got a special episode because this week, Pete gets to riff on one of his favorite games, Mario Paint.
That's right.
So, to follow up on the last episode, I got to riff on Enter the Gungeon. And it just so happened, I didn't even know it, just like a week later, it came for free on the Game Pass for Xbox. So if you haven't played it yet, it's sitting right there for you. It's on Game Pass. Free.
It's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah. So I've been playing it on my Xbox a little bit. It actually feels very weird going. I'm so used to playing it on the PlayStation. It feels weird playing with an Xbox controller, but it's still fun. But as always, we start our podcast with our little game of Stump Pete. Three games, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, and 20 years ago, with several clues. Play along. Pete's going to try to guess. I think it's going to be a little tougher this week. A little bit.
All right.
At least one of them. One of them's going to be tough.
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Maybe not. Actually, now that I think about it, it's just the last one. Okay. 1985. Nintendo's R&D 1 team creates an arcade sequel to this popular sports game.
An arcade sequel from 1985.
Boom, 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 boom.
Nope.
All right.
The next
clue.
info.
It features this sound.
This is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
You bet it is. Well, is it Mike Tyson though?
No, it might not be, because it might be the gold cart.
Now remember,
you said 1985.
First clue. Nintendo's R&D 1 team creates an arcade sequel to this popular sports game. Arcade.
I didn't know there was an arcade sequel to Punch-Out.
Final clue. This sequel adds several new characters such as Bear Hugger, Dragon Chan, and Vodka Drunkinsky.
Super Punch-Out?
That's it. Super Punch-Out. You got it, man.
I thought that was late. I thought that was later.
Yeah, 1985. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
And that's the US release. I think it was 84 over in Japan. All right, let's go back 31 years ago. Not quite 30, 31 years ago. Gunpei Yokoi and Yoshio Sakamoto return into the third installment of this still-running franchise.
Nope, I don't know yet.
Features this sound. Haunting.
Nope. Never heard that before.
It is about a bounty hunter going to investigate a stolen creature on the planet Zebes. Or Zebus. Bounty hunter.
So would that be Metroid Prime?
It is.
Super Metroid?
That's right, Super Metroid. You got it. You sat on it a bit, but you got it.
Yeah.
All right, final one. And I'm sorry about this. It was hard to dig up a game from April 2005 that I thought you could get. But hey, I don't know all the games you've played, so maybe you'll get it. Double Fine Productions brings you a fun adventure platformer and a psychic odyssey through the minds of misfits, monsters, and madmen. Oh, snap. You got it. That was the hardest one. You nailed it. Clue number 2, it features this sound. Sweet. And final clue features the main character named Raz, who uses telekinesis and levitation. So the answer was, as Pete properly guessed, Psychonauts, which is already 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was the Double Fine that gave it away for me.
Nice, man.
Anyway.
That was a good one. I'm guessing the listeners probably picked up on Super Metroid super fast, but I don't know how many people would get Psychonauts there. But I never played it myself.
No, me neither.
All right. Moving on to our 1v1, where we place two popular games against each other to finally find out what is the better game. Last time you went into your back room, your little arcade that sits behind you, and you dug out Dig Dug versus Galaga. Two arcade titans.
Yeah, and they were only made a year apart from each other.
And they could not be more different games, if you ask me. I mean, they're both arcade and like very addictive, point-pushing type games.
Oh yeah, they're totally different games.
But you got Dig Dug, which you're some sort of drill digger looking cool guy, and you basically inflate your enemies that are like chomping around. They can turn into little ghost characters, and you're digging around dirt.
What a horrible way to die.
I know, you feel it, and it's so cute the way they do it too.
Yeah.
I had it for my Atari 7800. Man, I played the S out of that game. I really loved it.
Yeah, I had it for the 2600, and even though it was the 2600, it still played very well.
Yeah. The port from the 7800 was amazing. Like going back and playing the arcade a little bit just to try to prepare and trying to see which one I prefer, Galaga and Dig Dug. Playing the arcade version of Dig Dug, I almost prefer the 7800, and I'm sure that's nostalgia playing into it. But I don't know. I kind of like the sound effects of the Atari a little bit better.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Exactly what you mean. Like, I enjoy playing the 2600 version more than I do the arcade version.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. Like, going back and playing MAME and loading up arcades, it's not the same. It doesn't feel anywhere near the same of walking into an arcade, putting in a quarter, and playing those games. There was something magical about them that MAME just does not capture.
Yeah.
But all the nostalgia of playing your Atari against, everything still feels the same.
Well, because you played Atari in your home, in the comfort of your home, I think.
Yeah, it's got all the memories attached to it.
You had, music, the crowds, the rugs with the neons, little squigglies on them.
Oh man, yeah.
That was the arcade experience.
Yeah, it was.
So.
Yeah, and just because they always had the games as well, like the actual, like, you're trying to, money games, like slot machines or shooting things. Hey, so there was always these buzzing and clinking and tinging and sounds. It was just so loud in there. And of course, by the time I was going there, it's like you're always hearing a crowd playing Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, and that's turned up all the way.
Yeah, that reminds me of when me and my brother, just to wax poetic a little bit, when I got my Sega Genesis, we took the other television from my parents' room, brought it downstairs, and hooked it up to the Nintendo and played at the same time. We're like, yeah, it's like the arcade. Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's so cool. Yeah. And that's what's it felt like there was like, I don't know, 60 kids all playing a different machine on their TVs and just so loud, but it had an awesome energy. But we're here to talk about Dig Dug versus Galaga. I don't know. We can go to our reviews from our audience listeners. So the dead guy simply says Dig Dug, and it's not even close. And we got Bedwell Blackburn that said it's a hard one, Galaga, only because it's a shooter and the hit and miss percentage at the end. So like when you get a game over. But he says both are really classic games. So overall, the listeners came down 50-50. So it's going to be on us to decide, Pete.
For me, it goes to Dig Dug. And I mean, it was the first video game I ever played. I played it at after the Cub Scouts one
Wow, I didn't know
time.
that.
Yeah, he had I don't know if it was a Commodore 64 or a Tandy or something, but it was like one of those old computer gaming apparatuses.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd play Dig Dug after our den meeting, and that was the reason why I asked for it for Christmas. I mean, Dig Dug is just really fun, really addicting, really charming, which a lot of games back then didn't have that kind of charm. Like,
It was cute. All the characters feel really like fleshed out in this like cartoony aesthetic. Almost like Pac-Man the cartoon felt like that. Like when they started like fleshing out Pac-Man as to more than just a little circle that was like eating pellets, it started to feel more cartoony. Or Bubble Bobble. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
it feels like that. It's like really cute.
Yeah, and it's the gameplay. You could kill your enemies by inflating them, like we said, but you can also kill them by dropping rocks on them strategically. By digging under the rock.
Yeah, so basically you're like a mole, right? I mean, you're not a mole, but you're like a mole in that you're like digging these tunnels, and there's essentially gravity. So if you were to dig up to a rock and you left a big tunnel behind you, once you move out of the way, the rock is going to fall as far as your tunnel went.
Right.
And if there's enemies that happen to be chasing you, they're going to all get taken out. And the whole point is you try to get as many of those little baddies following a trail behind you, and then when you move the rock, you squash them all and you get a whole multiplier of points.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
And you can also crush yourself in the process if you're not careful.
That's for sure. I've done that a lot.
So there's a couple different ways of approaching killing your enemies. I really love the fruits and vegetables you can get when you like clear milestones. I think it's a point based, but
is it? I couldn't quite figure out the method. I thought it was just like it's near the end of the level and then it would show up or something. I don't know, but it feels very Pac-Man-esque, right? It's that, you know, if you want to get a bonus point, and they're worth a lot, then you definitely want to grab those, and they're usually in the center. And I feel like I'm always like having to choose: do you want to get the last enemy or get the fruit? And you're trying to chase down the fruit before the last enemy gets off screen, because once the last enemy runs, then that's it, right? You have to change levels, and you don't get that fruit.
Yeah, that's right.
I think once again we have the weird obsession of there's an eggplant. Something in the 80s, man. They loved their eggplants back then.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and read your...
Oh, yeah, so if I end up saying Galaga, then we're going to end up splitting as a tie. But no, as you can hear me like gushing about Dig Dug, yeah, the answer falls hard on the Dig Dug side. I feel like the creativity of the music, because that's one thing that was so different. So when you're digging, that's when the music plays. If you stand still, the entire soundtrack stops. So cute.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it's like you're like completely in control of the music of it playing. So it's like you have your own theme song. It's really funny. And I loved playing it on my Atari 7800. Have so many good memories of it. And Galaga felt too difficult always for me to play as well. Like I never felt like point pushing it at all, because it's just crazy hard. And in its essence, it feels very much like Space Invaders to me. It just feels like a step up of difficulty, and they added some new mechanics to it, but it didn't make it all that much more fun to me. I do think it's cool that there's a ship that, you know, an enemy ship comes and can grab your ship and captures it. Should you have an extra life, you get to then try to recapture it back, and then it then pulls up next to your ship, and you basically have a twin shooter, which is a cool mechanic.
That's stupid, though.
Oh, okay.
It's stupid that it requires an extra life.
That part pisses me off.
That is really dumb.
Yeah.
Like it pisses me off to no end.
Yeah, because if you're not paying attention, like there's times where you like want to purposely get abducted so you can get a 2-shooter, and then I didn't notice I was out of lives, and I'm like, son of a, I just game overed myself.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, you know, I just suck at it, but it is hard as nails.
It is.
The game is so difficult. And
yeah, I hate the mechanic of you only get to have so many bullets on screen. So if you miss an enemy, you're just waiting for your bullet to get off screen. I think it's like Centipede is like that as well.
Yeah. Deadly Towers is like that.
I don't like that, man. I'm sure there's a sprite limit, constraint that they're dealing with, but man, is it frustrating. Because those enemies are not easy to hit.
My favorite thing about Galaga is the little sound blurb in between levels. I think it sounds awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, that's about all I can say about Galaga. It has more of a name for itself than I think Dig Dug does, but I don't know. Even like with Dig Dug, there's different color palettes that switch on the levels, and so I was so motivated as a kid just to beat the level just so you could see the color of the dirt change.
Yeah.
And it's so stupid. It's so stupid nowadays, given like all the technical beauty and unlimited color palettes that we have today. But the idea that the dirt would change color from level to level was super exciting.
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. Like, holy crap, I got to the green dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I loved it, man. All right, so that puts it the winner. That's the winner. Dig Dug. Sorry,
Yep,
everybody
Dig Dug.
that likes Galaga. Dig Dug's better. Final answer. Next month, we're going to put two big giants next to each other.
What'd you come up with?
Nintendo 64. Mario 64 versus GoldenEye 007.
Oh, wow.
When you actually, I think people can easily say Mario 64 just because it was a big pivot change and like a genre mark. But when you think of them as individual games and just the game, and you think about all the multiplayer aspect of GoldenEye, I don't think this is an easy answer.
This isn't an easy answer. But
So,
I definitely already am leaning one way.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next month.
All right.
All right. Before we get to Mario Paint, let's talk a little news. So we are a former feature film animator, so let's talk a little bit about the continuing trend of sequels. Pete, when we were in like the golden age of 3D animation, it was like considered like pretty low to like have sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like we worked for Blue Sky and we were like just turning out sequel after sequel. But,
Yeah.
you know, we were envious of like Disney and Pixar that they were just like they turned their nose up at the idea of sequels.
Yeah.
But listen to this slate of movies coming out from Disney: Lilo and Stitch, Snow White, Moana, Coco 2, Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5, Tron, another Avatar, more Star Wars, Incredibles 3.
Toy Story
Holy
5.
moly.
Toy Story should have ended with 3.
Absolutely.
It should have ended with 3. I reject 4.
Yep.
And I reject 5.
Yep, I'm with you. Because it's the perfect ending. It was perfect.
It was the nice little curtain call for all the little characters at the end.
Yep.
God.
I know. And I'm sure there's plenty of people there that feel the same way. But the animation industry is in a horrible place right now. And so you're seeing all these sequels because they need a sure thing. They need, like, I don't blame them really. They have to. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Nobody's going to the theater anymore. So that's the easiest way to guarantee when you have budgets that are over $100 million, then you got to make exactly what we just read there. A live-action Lilo and Stitch, a live-action Snow White, live-action Moana.
Yeah, I heard the live-action films are actually paying for the the computer generated ones.
I know. The live action How to Train Your Dragon, where it feels like it's a shot for shot remake. I'm like, what is the point? I know people like it and they're going to see it, but I just like it feels like by doing that you're saying the definitive version will always be live action, not this hand done frame by frame artwork. I don't know. I think it sucks. I'm no fan. I don't like. I don't. There's not been one that I like. I think Lion King sucks. Aladdin sucks. Beauty and the Beast.
I haven't watched most of them,
dude. That Aladdin one. Holy moly, is it bad? What a piece of crap.
Is that the one where Will Smith is the genie?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I saw that and I was like, I'm not watching this shit.
Will Smith is the genie. It's like, dude, those are some mighty big shoes to fill, and you will never fill Robin Williams. And
no.
Yeah, I don't think he really tried. I don't think he tried, period. Anyways, whatever. That
Leave my wife's name out of your mouth.
Yeah, he's coming for me now. Speaking of the industry being in tough form, literally, I think it was the next day after we recorded our last podcast, the Technicolor news came out. Technicolor basically filed what is their version of bankruptcy, and it cost about 6,000 jobs. MPC,
Jeez.
The Mill, Mikros Animation, a bunch of the people you and I know, Pete, came down with that Mikros Animation.
I know.
It's terrible. A lot of production people. These are people that, again, this is a conversation we had last episode, but it's that you're just running from one studio to another of them going under. So it's like, all right, 6,000 people lost their job. Many people of that 6,000 have already been through this multiple times. It sucks.
Yeah.
The industry is falling apart, and it's visual effects, it's animation, it's video games. The whole darn thing is messed up right now. So, yeah, I'm trying to think about some of the things that they worked on. Another. So another effects industry thing, Jellyfish Pictures is folding. So they created like DreamWorks' latest animation. They like Spirit Untamed. They did the Dogman movie.
Yeah, it's like these places make one thing and then collapse. It's too bad.
These guys are made some big stuff, and working on Book of Boba Fett, Kings of London, Watchmen. Yep, another one down. More, whole nother studio of animators and production employees all gone. So fun, super depressing. But we had a Nintendo Direct. Did you watch that?
No, I didn't.
Everybody's talking about the game announcements or the lack thereof. I don't know. Everybody's up in arms about Hollow Knight not being teased at all. It's like, okay. But I thought the thing that everybody's overlooking is Nintendo is coming up with is very interesting solution to physical and digital media. It's cool. They came up with this idea of a virtual card. So this card can store your physical games of your Switch basically digitally. So you get to put your physical game in, but then rather having to, keep switching out those little teeny tiny cards, you basically get to upload your physical games onto your Switch. Then not only do you get to do that, though that digital version then can swap to any other, you can let other Switches borrow it. And they get to have it for 14 days. I'm assuming that locks you out for those 2 weeks. They didn't quite say that. But then after 14 days, it will automatically return to you no matter what. That way, I remember as a kid, like letting some friends borrow my games, and then you'd like, you're never getting it back. So that's not going to happen anymore. But yeah, and then anybody in your family plan has access to any of your digital games too. So you can easily, you don't have to buy multiple copies of the games if you want to you can't play at the same time, but you can at least share the same library easily. I think it's super awesome. I think it's cool. At least they're trying.
So it's a card, a physical card.
Not a physical card. No, it's not a physical card. It's a virtual card. It's basically an app. Let's just think of it that way. You have your app that holds all your games, just the same as it is now. But because right now, when you have a physical game, you have to keep inserting the real disc, the real card, the real cartridge in the back of your Switch. Now you just put the cartridge in. You say, okay, now download it to my Switch. Great. Now I don't have to. Now it just gets to sit on my shelf again. So it has all the perks of being digital, but I get to have it on my shelf, which is like what I like. It's always bugged me. Like I love having digital games on my Switch.
Wait a minute. Could you explain how you'd have it on your shelf?
I mean, the physical game. So, I have my Switch games right down there. And right now, if I want to play Mario Wonder, I got to walk on over there, pull out the game, put it in the back of my Switch.
Right.
No more. Because the first day I get Mario Wonder, I put it in my Switch and I say upload or download or whatever the term is going to be to my virtual card. And now it will sit on my Switch permanently, and I can take the cartridge out, put it back on my shelf.
Interesting.
And never have to get it again. I think it's cool.
That's interesting. So they're like mixing the benefits.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I'm curious what would happen if I uploaded Mario Wonder to my Switch and then gave you the physical copy. What would happen? I don't know. Maybe it's tied like a serial number, and it's like, nope, somebody's already got access to the digital version. And then how effed up would that be if you then sell your physical game on Facebook or whatever, and then someone goes to play it, and they're like, nope, somebody else owns the digital version.
Is that what that's going to get rid of?
I have no idea.
Because it seems plausible.
It does seem plausible. There's got to be some solution to that. Or maybe there isn't, and it's something that they're trying to do away with because they lose money every time that happens. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if what would happen is like if I had the game on my virtual Nintendo virtual card on my Switch, and then I gave you the physical one, if you attempted to play it and download it on yours, it would revoke it from me. There's got to be some serial number attached to each individual card.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. That's got to like F up how you manufacture these games. Like each individual production cart, whatever, has to have its own serial. How do you do that? What a nightmare.
It just sounds like a logistical nightmare, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because it could be the thing where it's like, hey man, let me give me all your stack of games and let me upload them all to my Switch. Now I have them all. Now I'll give the carts back to you. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would F Nintendo up. There's no way it can work like that.
There's no way.
Anyways, I thought that was super cool and interesting, and I'm curious to see how it actually works. And I'm sure there's some listeners right now that are like, "You idiot! Of course it works like XYZ." All right, well, I don't know. All right, so we'll play a little music from Mario Paint, and when we come back, Pete's gonna gush his brains out. All right, Pete, let's talk some Mario Paint.
All right, you feel free. You feel free to chime in whenever.
I will. I did love this game, but I didn't own it, so I didn't get to have the attention to it as I'm sure you gave it.
Okay. Yeah. So Mario Paint is an enigma in the SNES library. At its core, it's a digital paint software, not unlike Microsoft Paint. but its design and quirkiness is what makes it memorable. It was developed in 1992 by Nintendo's R&D 1 team. Other games developed by this team include the arcade version of Donkey Kong, Balloon Fight for the NES, Metroid for the NES, Kid Icarus for the NES, and Super Mario Land for the Game Boy.
That's a pretty good list.
Yeah, that's a crazy pedigree right there. I got Mario Paint for Christmas back in 1992. Nobody in my family asked for it, but my mom took a chance since I was big into drawing and animation, and boy, did she pick a winner. When you turn on the software, you'll find Mario running around in a simple title screen. You can click on him to start the software, or you could click the letters of the title to make random events happen. Click all of them and the Easter egg minigame called Gnat Attack starts up. In Gnat Attack, the player must swat 100 gnats to face King Watinga. The minigame has 3 levels that loop at a faster speed with each passing level.
God, I loved that game. That was my favorite part of the whole thing.
It was fun as hell.
I mean, the one thing, I'm sure you're about to get to it, but it came with a mouse.
Yeah.
So you're playing this fly swatter game, not with a control pad, but you're moving the mouse, so you can actually you get to control your speed. There was nothing like that before. There's no analog sticks back then. So just that you have a real feel over being able to move the fly swatter. It was really fun.
And I didn't mention that it was a pack-in, so thank you, Jeff Gabor. One of my favorite what the f*** moments is if you decide to click on Mario to start the software, you are brought to a screen that shows 2 characters doing sit-ups. There are 2 audio tracks that could play. It defaults to a simple cheering track, but occasionally it plays a fun tribal song that sings Mario Paint. And to this day, I don't know what I have to do in a title screen to get to the tribal music to play.
That's funny. I've never heard that.
Riffing off this, sound design and software is fantastic. From the rubbing sound when using the pens to the back button bomb, the sound effects are top notch. The charming default music is awesome, but there's another track you can choose from that is probably the most chill track Nintendo has ever produced. and the Save the Robot music is awesome.
A lot of stuff like that is saved or has continued on into like Mario Maker, right? Like the robot, the undo dog.
Interesting you say that. Mario Maker for the Wii U was originally started as a Mario Paint game.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. From here, the software offers 4 models of play: a coloring book, a drawing pad, an animation station called Animation Land, and a music composer. The coloring book is self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into it. The drawing pad allows the user to use 15 colors and 75 patterns, create whatever they want using a drawing pen, 3 sizes, an airbrush, a paintbrush, or a line and shape tool. Any drawing can be completely erased using 9 unique visual effects. Those things, they're so cool.
Yeah, they are.
There are a lot of fun, as Nintendo could have simply cleared the image, but instead offer a variety of ways that the pad could be visually cleared, complete with unique sound for each method. Very cool.
Yep.
Animation Land lets you choose from 4, 6, or 9 frame animations. This really appealed to me, as I was starting to study animation using Tony White's The Animators workbook. And I had no way of checking my animation exercises that I was studying besides using flipbooks.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Mario Paint offered it a limited frame count, it was still enough to get instant feedback on small exercises like head turns and eye blinks. I can honestly say that this was the moment the animation bug bit me.
So cool. I think there was a Game Pro or there was a Nintendo Power that gave you a step-by-step to recreate a dungeon level of Zelda, like with a little bat flying, and it showed you like how to animate. I was blown away that you could do that. And then do you remember Strong Bad? Like
No.
it was a popular early 2000 cartoon, and the first episode of that was made in Mario Paint.
Really?
Trogdor and Strong Bad. Yeah. It's insane. It just goes to show you the power that, I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't want to continue using it, but you could do some wild stuff.
That's really cool. I didn't know that Mario Paint was used to actually produce.
Some production. Yeah.
Yeah. The music composer allows users to write music in common or triple time by using 15 instrument samples to choose from. I remember that Christmas making an animation of cats singing Christmas carols. And my sister made a sort of Meow Mix track using the composer. This is the actual recording. It was so much fun getting the whole family involved with Mario Paint. It is a software that I will always hold dearly in my heart.
Yeah, man. The music thing is so underrated. And that's another thing that continued on with Super Mario Maker, right? Like in Mario Maker, you can put all these different elements at different Y positions on the screen. And as Mario runs by, it basically plays it. And so there's all these Super Mario Maker levels that, you make them so they're, I don't know what's the term when it's like a scrolling one, whatever it is. It's like automatic scrolling level. So as you're running past it, it plays whatever music, the user has composed. It's super cool. So it's all these elements from Mario Paint have made it all the way into Super Mario Maker and Super Mario Maker 2. Even like the deleting and the rocket ship and all that. You see all these super creative ideas. And what's so cool about Mario Paint is it's once again shows that like Nintendo was always thinking outside the box and doing super weird stuff. And sometimes it paid off with like Mario Paint, and then other times it was Virtual Boy and everything in between, like they always stay fresh. That's what I like about Nintendo.
Yeah, Mario Paint was like it actually like was like a bestseller that year too. I think it ended up selling like 2.3 million.
And it was a huge success. Just about everybody I knew that had a Super Nintendo ended up getting Mario Paint. And it was, I don't remember the retail cost, but it had to be more expensive than the typical game just because of the pack in with the mouse.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I went back and looked at reviews, and at the time, it was reviewed not great. Like there was a lot of people that talked about like it would be a passing fancy, and then it doesn't offer much continuous play. It's like 5 minutes and you're done. And no kid's going to have their attention like held by the game for long. They were all wrong. Like that game was, and whether it's adults or kids, you could do so much in that game. It did keep people's attention, and people are still using it today. I watched this one streamer, just to shout him out, like Anti-Social Network. He does like these crazy, it's like he pretends he's like sort of like Bob Ross. And then he creates super elaborate animations using Mario Paint. Like he'll recreate Street Fighter using Mario Paint.
Wow.
Insane stuff. And the music, people are still using the samples from Mario Paint to make new music. Very awesome. Very awesome. Like way ahead of its time.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it has a couple downsides, right? Like the frame count limit with the animation, and I don't know, I think there's a serious limit on how many images you can save, like paintings, right? I think you can only save one at a time.
I think you can only save like one.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. And it takes forever.
Oh my God, yeah. You hit that save button and you just sit there. Yeah. So there's some downsides in that, I don't know. You had to be there, I guess. You had to be there because it was amazing. So that's how you became an animator right there, Mario Paint.
Yep, it's a big, big reason for it.
I wonder if I can get a emulator to run it with a mouse. Did you try that?
I did. It wouldn't work.
Dang, man.
But somebody made a version of Mario Paint on a ROM that was edited so you could use your controller.
Okay. It's not
the same.
Yeah.
Nah.
I wonder if it works on the Mister. Like the Mister is an FPGA project that they have a lot of different, inputs that you can put into the Mister, different devices. I swear there was a setup for mice and like light guns. I definitely light guns. I wonder if it could do a mouse. That'd
be
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, because then you have VGA output too, so you can get it like the nice like fuzzy looking thing and make it feel like put it on a CRT TV and all that and make it feel real again.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm sure you have it sitting on your shelf and you can load it up when you want. But
yeah, I have it. It's over there.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I never had it myself. Super jealous of all my friends that had it.
And the cool thing about it too is that like they actually gave instructions on how to. They said you can't save more than one image at a time, but if you do these and if you set it up in the Super Nintendo in this sort of way, it'll record to your VCR, and that's how I got to save all mine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's how you got the cat remix?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Saved on a VHS tape. That's what we had to do back in the day. I remember like making my own Mortal Kombat type movies by like recording the fights and then hitting stop on my VCR and then inserting a cinematic and then playing another fight scene and stupid stuff like that. It's like so rudimentary, but it's like you're trying to make any kind of content you can with whatever tools we had. And we didn't have much back then.
No.
But yeah, those were good
That
times.
was pretty much it.
Yeah, you had your VCR and you could kind of record yourself playing. Super neat, though. All right, any last words about how awesome Mario Paint is?
Nope.
I have
said my piece.
I have one more like anecdote. I remember my friend Eric. He had Mario Paint, but the sad part was he only could play it on a black and white TV. And so that I still remember, I think it was like his 13th birthday. For his birthday, he got a color TV. And so we ran down and hooked it up to his Mario Paint, and we're like, oh my God, we're going to see how messed up your drawing of Spider-Man is and what stupid colors you chose and how messed up it looks. He picked all the right colors. It was so disappointing. I swear he must have looked in a magazine and knew which colors. Because I was like, how did you know blue was blue and red was red? Like, it was supposed to be really funny and it's not funny.
That is funny though.
Yeah. And then that same party, he got Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which is an awesome game. I loved that game. And so we said what we would do, we would trade back and forth every time you got a game over or had to hit continue, right? Mm-hmm. So that'd be like 3 lives. So some person went and they died on the first level. They handed me the controller. Nobody played for the rest of the night. I'm not joking.
You son of a bitch.
Oh, it was so awesome. I was like, I haven't died yet. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, that was a good birthday party.
Everybody else remembers it differently.
All right, so if you want to reach a couple more minutes, you can reach a couple more minutes at gmail.com. Let us know what you think of Mario 64 versus GoldenEye. We'll be back next month to give you the answer. And until then, this has been a Couple More Minutes podcast. We're 2 veterans of the animation and video game industry. We did talk about exactly that, animation and video games. Thanks for joining me, Pete.
You're welcome, Jeff.
All right, see you next time.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.